have a basic judge.
All right. Good afternoon, sir. If you can just tell me your name and your date of birth.
Yes, Capri, sir.
All right. Date of birth.
June 11, 1997.
All right. Thank you. All right, Mr. Capri, you are here for your initial appearance. You were arrested pursuant to an arrest warrant, so probable cause was previously determined by Judge Murphy. We are here for purposes of today for determining your bond.
Kodak Black just bonded out of Orange County Jail after catching a first-degree felony MDMA trafficking charge, and the second he touched free air, he had a message ready. This ain't gossip, this ain't random chatter floating around online. Bill Capri, 28 years old with 12 prior felony convictions, attached to his name, walked into an Orlando courtroom on May 7th. 2026, pleaded not guilty, requested a jury trial, and had his lawyer battling the prosecution in real time. The judge hit him with a $75,000 bond. Kodak paid it, and now he's back out, but y'all really need to pay attention because this situation goes way beyond a mugshot and a flashy headline. This is about a rapper who's been under the microscope of law enforcement basically his entire adult life, a defense team calling the case weak from the jump. A baby mother getting arrested on trafficking charges just 3 weeks before Kodak ends up in cuffs himself, a pink bag allegedly tied directly to his Instagram account, and $37,000 cash that Kodak reportedly tried to claim without claiming the rest of what was inside that bag. So let's really unpack this, every detail, every twist, every contradiction, because, trust me, there's a lot going on here, and once we get to the end of this, you'll understand why Kodak's attorney was literally drafting a motion to dismiss on his phone during the train ride to court, and why the prosecution's entire case could be standing on shaky legs right now. Stay with me, because this story gets serious fast. To really understand how things got here, we can't just start in November 2025. We've got to rewind all the way back, because Kodak Black's history with Florida police isn't some fresh situation. It's practically a whole saga that's been following him since his teenage years out of Pompano Beach. Born Bill Capri on June 11, 1997, in Pompano Beach, Florida, Kodak came up in Golden Acres, one of South Florida's roughest housing projects. The streets weren't an image for him. They weren't marketing, that was real life from the beginning. He started getting into legal trouble young, and that same cycle kept following him even after fame hit. Now, look at everything he still managed to build despite all of that tunnel vision. Peaked at number 6 on the Billboard Hot 100Zs alongside Travis Scott and Offset, climbed all the way to number 2. Super Gremlin reached number 3 on the Hot 100 back 2022. Over 30 million singles, sold multiple albums, landing on the Billboard 200 charts, and just 1 month ago, April 4th, 2026, Kodak was on stage performing at the April Fool's Comedy Jam at Barclays Center in New York City. Fast forward only a few weeks later, and now he's walking into Orange County Jail, facing a trafficking charge.
This is just into West 2 News. Rapper Kodak Black has been booked into the Orange County Jail here in Central Florida. His real name is Bill Capri. The booking records show the 28-year-old was taken into custody yesterday for a drug trafficking charge.
That's the duality of Kodak Black fam. At the same time, he's one of the biggest commercially successful rappers of his era, and also one of the most legally tangled artists hip-hop has ever seen. And that constant back and forth between the music industry and the courtroom is exactly what makes this whole situation so wild. So now let's really break down the legal history, because you gotta understand how heavy 12 prior felony convictions sounds when you're standing in front of a judge asking for a lower bond. Here's the real story behind his rap sheet. Back in November 2019, Kodak pleaded guilty to falsifying information on federal firearm purchase documents in order to buy 4 guns. He was sentenced to 46 months federally. That's major time, and honestly, it looked like he was going to sit through all of it until January 20th, 2021, the final day of Donald Trump's first term, when Trump commuted his sentence. Kodak had only served around half the bid. Then, just like that, he was free. Fast forward to July 2022, Florida Highway Patrol pulls him over in Fort Lauderdale. Officers reportedly find 31 Oxycontin pills and $74,960 in cash inside the vehicle. On top of that, he was allegedly driving with an expired license and expired tags that led to Oxycontin trafficking charges, plus possession without a prescription. He bonded out and was ordered to take regular drug tests as part of his release conditions. But this is where everything really started spiraling. 2023 turned into a complete mess on its sign. Its own Kodak reportedly missed multiple drug tests, later tested positive for fentanyl, and was ordered into a mandatory 30-day rehab program. Then, in December 2023, police in Broward County allegedly found him asleep behind the wheel with white powder around his mouth. That incident led to charges for cocaine possession and tampering with physical evidence.
Rapper Kodak Black is facing legal troubles once more. The music artist, whose real name is Bill Capri, was arrested in Broward County this morning. He's accused of possessing cocaine, evidence tampering, probation violation, and improper stopping of a vehicle. Police say Capri was found asleep in the driver's seat of a car in Plantation with the lights on.
A later lab test actually came back showing that the powder wasn't what it initially looked like. It was oxycodone, and he had a valid prescription for it. So just like that, the drug charge gets dropped. But you see the pattern forming here, right? You can't ignore it. This is a man who's been moving through the legal system with Bradford Cohen, his longtime attorney, right beside him. And time after time, they've either won cases, reduced charges, or gotten them dismissed entirely. Cohen even said it out loud in open court. I've faced cases 10 times. This case, and I've won, that's not a casual statement. That's a lawyer who knows his client's entire legal battlefield like the back of his hand, and that matters a lot when we get into what went down at the courthouse on May 7th. But honestly, that's just the beginning. Now here's where things really start to deepen. This current charge, this MDMA trafficking first-degree felony, doesn't actually start in May 2026. It traces all the way back to November 24th, 2025, Thanksgiving week in Orlando. And the location is key here, Children's Safety Village. That's an actual nonprofit site on Fairvilla Road. In Orlando, built to teach kids about personal safety, just the name alone, you already know, is something the prosecution can lean on heavily in court of public opinion. No cap. But let's break down what actually happened. Orlando police get a 911 call reporting gunshots near the Children's Safety Village. But here's the twist that tightens the case. That pink bag matches one Kodak Black had previously posted on Instagram, not a similar one, the same bag, same lighter. Visible investigators literally pulled the post and compared it. Then there's a prescription cough syrup bottle found inside that same bag. Not $10,000. Not extreme prosecution demands $75 K. But the judge is clear. It's not because he's a rapper. It's because of his record: 12 prior felony convictions, 2 misdemeanors, 1 prior failure to appear. That history is what tips the scale. He's also ordered to avoid contact with co-defendants. Witnesses, with some exceptions for family and security team members. He pleads not guilty in writing and demands a jury trial. Then he pays the bond and walks out. But the story doesn't slow down there almost immediately. Bradford Cohen says he's preparing a motion to dismiss, literally drafting it while low. Heading to court, his argument is direct. This case should never have been filed. And that's where things start to widen out, because surrounding all of this is a larger pattern involving people close to Kodak and separate trafficking cases unfolding around the same timeline. Cohen already made clear he's pushing for a full jury trial. That means 12 people sitting in that box will be asked to examine a pink bag, an Instagram photo, a cough syrup bottle with a fingerprint, and a man saying, "Oh, the money is mine." But the bag isn't, and at the end of the day, they have to decide it all beyond a reasonable doubt. Meanwhile, Kodak himself is now out on bond, but the spotlight hasn't left him for a second. Just a month ago, he was performing at major venues, still locked into active music commitments. His team at Universal Music Group hasn't said a word publicly, but now every future booking, brand move, every step he takes is sitting under the shadow of a first-degree felony case, and everything that comes with it. Now zoom out, because this isn't just about Bill Capri and a pink bag. This story goes way deeper than that. Here's the bigger picture, fam. Kodak Black is 28 years old, and he's been dealing with the criminal justice system since before most people his age even had their first job. He came out of Golden Acres in Pompano Beach, a place where the path from poverty to prison isn't just a saying, it's a reality people live every day. From that environment, he built something massive. 30 million singles sold, chart-topping projects, a global fan base, even a presidential commutation from Donald Trump. But despite all that success, the legal pressure never really went away. In fact, it's followed him everywhere. And that tells us two things at the same time. First, Kodak Black, through his own decisions and the environment he comes from, has never fully separated himself from situations that keep putting him on law enforcement's radar. That Instagram photo of a pink bag later tied into a trafficking case. Exactly the kind of pattern prosecutors point to. Even the timing of people close to him facing similar charges adds to the narrative of the circle. He's in second, And this is just as important. 12 prior felony convictions on a 28-year-old doesn't appear out of nowhere. It reflects a justice system that has been locked onto him since he was barely an adult. Some charges collapsed, some got reduced, some involved prescriptions or cases that didn't stick the way they first appeared. But every arrest still adds a number. Every booking adds weight. And once that number exists, it becomes something prosecutors can use to argue bond increases to push flight risk claims to build a stronger case narrative. That's how the system compounds. It makes every new case harder to separate from the past. That's exactly why this case is being watched so closely in legal circles, because if Bradford Cohen files that motion to dismiss and wins, it raises a serious question. How does a case built on an Instagram-linked bag, a fingerprint on a prescription bottle, and circumstantial cash evidence turn into a first-degree felony arrest that didn't survive legal pressure on its own? That's where defense attorneys say the line between justice and narrative starts to blur, and then there's the cultural side of it. Kodak Black isn't the only rapper caught in this cycle. Escalating charges, court wins that get overshadowed by the next arrest, and bond hearings where fame itself used as a flight risk argument. It's a familiar pattern in hip-hop, but with Kodak, it's the frequency that stands out, the repetition, the way legal headlines keep stacking up, while the music career never really stops moving. Even before the arrest on May 6th, people close to the situation knew a warrant was coming. The coordinated surrender wasn't random. Cohen knew Kodak knew. He flew in from California, turned himself and fought for bond in court, pleaded not guilty, and demanded a jury trial. That's not the behavior of someone confused about the situation. That's a legal team acting like they believe they can win. So where does it go from here? The motion to dismiss is coming. If it gets denied, this goes straight to trial, and then a jury of 12 people will be handed everything: the Instagram photo, the pink bag, the cash, the fingerprint argument, and the 12 prior felony convictions that already follow him into every courtroom. They'll decide what sticks, and that verdict will become another chapter in what's already one of the longest-running legal sagas in modern hip-hop. So, yeah, keep this one on your radar, because this is far from over. Kodak is out on bond fighting a first-degree felony trafficking charge with a defense team that's been here and before, but the law is still the law. The mandatory minimum is still real, and nothing in this case is guaranteed. And for someone who already had one federal sentence commuted once before, nobody is counting on that kind of miracle twice. Real talk. Kodak Black has always been one of the most transparent artists in the game. What you see is what you get. The post, the lifestyle, the circle, it's all out there. But that same transparency is exactly what can turn into evidence when prosecutors start building a case in the end. His story right now sits at the intersection of fame, environment, and the justice system, all colliding in one case in one state at one time. And the truth is, Florida isn't easing up. And Kodak hasn't exactly changed the way he moves either. Will Bradford Cohen get this dismissed? A lot of people are watching to see, but until then, this story is still unfolding, and it's nowhere near finished.